Yay! So welcome, welcome. It's so good to have you here. Uh, Michael just kicked out 3 Zoom bombers, so that's why they're laughing. My God, Jenny, I was watching your one-on-one with Ryan. That was so brilliant.
Oh, yay. It was on fire. It's on fire.
He was so great. I loved Ryan.
I love him. Yeah. He's been so inspiring on the comments on YouTube, and we finally got a video call. It was amazing.
He's so open. I loved, of course, his enthusiasm for not knowing.
Mm-hmm. It is exciting. Yay.
Yeah, so what not knowing is so powerful. Like, what is there when there's no thought, no thought,
And no resistance. Yeah.
no resistance, no movement? Like, what's really happening without thoughts and the idea of movement?
There's only awareness.
Yes.
Hi,
hmm
Michael. Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael. Just an introduction, yeah, because I haven't been on here before. I saw your group, so I just thought I'd drop in and say hi.
Well, thank you, Tony. It's nice to have you. And I have to say, your reputation precedes you because I somebody told me about the fracas you caused over at Sanders about a month ago.
Oh,
That
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it was
yeah,
much
yeah. There was just
must watch TV.
Oh yes, don't worry. I was just trying to push the
I
boundaries.
know.
I'm not really a nasty piece of work,
Yeah,
actually.
no.
But I'm just. But hi, Ginny. I just saw. I saw one of your videos recently, and you see, and you were talking my kind of language because you were talking about awareness being, fundamental and primordial. You were
hmm
talking about awareness being unchanging, and yeah, that's just exactly my kind of
Yeah.
language.
I know. I resonate with the way you speak too. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so really going back to that, of course, everything is just is. Of course, the only thing that is ever experienced is what is happening, right now in this
hmm
moment. There is nothing else. There is no past because a memory in the past is the new memory happening now. And the future is just an expectation of what you think might happen. So there is only essentially this. Um, there we go.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but of course, it's possible to go deeper into that, and everyone has their own sort of path or whatever. Mine was very much practice based, and I know people have certain views about what practice. But that was mine. That was central to my particular journey.
So
And I know Don would relate to that, right?
yeah, but you said so there's no past, there's no future, but then there's the conclusion. There's only this. So we'd have to say, why is there this? If no past, no future,
Hmm.
maybe there's no this.
Yeah, well, that's just another thought, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
just another
I
thought.
just I
Okay.
just wanted to say here that
Yeah.
when this all words are empty and meaningless.
Mm.
All words. So this doesn't mean anything. When I say it's just this, that doesn't give you any new information.
hmm
Michael, there appears to be meaning, though, doesn't there? There appears to be meaning appearing
Yeah.
to this, whatever this is. So,
Mhm.
so yes, I mean, you could say there is no meaning. One of the things that I find interesting is the way that the discussion is often about there is nothing happening to no one. That arises a lot, uh, and I would say it's happening to me. But when I say me, I don't mean something personal. I'm talking about something impersonal. So immediately, you have that confusion, don't you? If you use the word you or me, most people take that to be the limited personal aspect. But when I talk about me and you, I'm talking about that which is impersonal, which is prior to any kind of thoughts about experience and feelings or
Beautiful.
whatever.
Beautiful, beautiful, Tony. Yeah, same. I mean, ditto. I was just nodding every word.
Yeah, from what I've read in your posts, then yeah, I understand that you would agree with that. Um, so, I mean, what can one really say? When you say it's not possible to know anything, because you're essentially saying it's not possible to know anything,
We
and
pretend.
that's
We
yeah,
pretend.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if I need to get to 7-Eleven, to the pretend 7-Eleven, I ask you for pretend directions, and it seems to work in the dream.
Yeah, and then it's all gone in a second anyway, because yeah, I would say that it's not possible to know any object because, if I look at this coffee cup, I look at it in a particular way, it looks like this. If the lighting change, it looks different. If I turn it around, it's not possible to actually
Yeah,
know anything.
beautiful. Yeah, that's I love that
So,
you said that. Hold on, if we could slow down.
yeah, sorry.
No,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was because I do that, and Jenny and others here, Manny, Don, jump in. I I notice changes of color on light on objects. From one angle, it looks like a different. So what is the true object, right? What is the
Yeah.
true object if depending on your angle, it changes? There is no
Yes,
true,
that's right. That's right.
there is no true object.
Please forgive me, Michael. I have this terrible tendency to interrupt, so you have to kick me down if I do that. But yeah, there is this unknowing. There is this unknowing, which is unchanging, is, that is not an object.
Mhm.
But there's an unknowing. There's not really anything you can say about it.
Well,
But
I seem to say a lot.
yeah,
It's unknowing, Tony. It's unknowing appearing as knowing.
yes, I would. Yes, I would go along with that. Yes,
And
yes, there is.
infinite meaning, so
Hmm.
no meaning.
Yeah,
It
no
can
meaning. It's
be
like
anything.
the Joker in poke, like it's the wild card. It can be anything.
But Michael, when sometimes you have to be careful about making absolute statements. So I know that I am not the doer. I mean, there is no one who is deciding what thought I'm going to think next, or what I'm going to do. It just arises quite spontaneously from nowhere. Yet at the same time, there is a doing, isn't there? There is a doing. So that's the kind of paradox, isn't it? I mean, if I decide just impulsively and spontaneously to go for a walk, then I don't have a conversation with myself, do I? I don't say, well, I just get up and go, right? But if 3 hours later you say to me, what did you do? I say, oh, I went for a walk, or I decided to go a walk, then I own it, don't I? Then it's crazy, isn't it? Because then I own what I did, that when I did it, there was no one doing it. Just an observation.
Yeah, just like there's no doer of sounding like there's conviction or absolute speaking in absolutes. Like it's just all a bunch of probability distributions playing out as a whole, one totality appearing to function. And it would be all one divine will. It'd be all one mind, you know. It wouldn't be individual free
Mhm.
will. Yeah.
Probability distribution. Those are beautiful. I like those words.
Yeah, it's
That's
so
great.
cool because and
is.
that's what makes everything appear unique. And it only appears unique when it's defined by its opposite. And, this is just the relative The absolute dream of relativity is just it has opposites. You can't have one without the other.
Beautiful.
I wrote something about it earlier. Can you still
Yay.
see me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get it on my phone.
Okay.
And this is just a love story for no one.
Yay.
So put it in the dumpster fire when it's done. The, the universe is God's imagination. Without apparent opposites, nothing would appear to exist. Only by knowing what you're not, you know what you are. Each opposite defines its opposite by reference to opposite for something to be perceived. For one singular energy to experience something, there would have to be the illusion of two. Singular and all alone, there's only ignorance. The dream of consciousness is the dream of knowledge. Through the mirror of other, you can see yourself. You wouldn't be able to experience anything without polarity. Hot only exists when there's cold. Happiness only exists when there's sadness. Beauty only exists when there's ugliness. Pleasure only exists when there's pain. If there's a Mother Teresa, then there will be a Hitler to balance out the whole. If there's peace, there will be war. If there's good, there will be evil. All is one God's mind, exploring its infinite capacity through infinite conceptual qualities and archetypes. The whole of infinite potentials are an illusion of perfectly balanced opposites. Nothing can appear to exist without its polar opposite. In the one imagination, dreaming relativity, nothing needs to change, and there's no one separate to change it. As the whole of one totality appearing to function, all is divine will, all is total perfection. Yay!
You're a cosmic poet, Ginny.
Oh, yay! Thank you. Yay!
Yeah, very nice. That's great.
Yay!
Yeah.
Awesome. It's beautiful too because it makes everything appear so unique, you know. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So the apparent opposites are the manifestation that appears that for all of us, including this body and stuff, and comes and
Yeah.
goes.
Mhm.
Everything does that. Yeah.
Yeah. Temporary.
Temporary, yeah.
Yeah, I love Tim Kliss had a beautiful quote. He said, yes, everything changes, and it's only things that can be known. Nothing doesn't change, right? Everything you know is what changes. You can't know nothing.
Yeah.
Well, there's no difference between the knower and what is known.
Yeah. Well,
There's no separation. There's no
the knower is another thing to know. I know that I'm the
Yeah.
knower. It's just it's another thought.
Yeah. Yes, because even if you say I, that I is just another object. If you identify as I, that I is not the knower. It's just an object that's pretending to be the knower.
Yeah, it's genius. It's so genius how this thing plays out, right? Because how would a magician fool himself, right? How if you're alone and then multiplicity seems to appear from literally out of thin air. That's the fucking magic trick of all magic tricks. You know, it's like the miracle is already, that's why we don't see it. This is the miracle right now. There's nothing else.
Yeah, you could say that
Mhm.
God, by God, I mean source. I don't mean a white bearded guy on a throne in the clouds. I mean, God as source. So God is the absolute, created form and duality in order to know its true nature.
Yeah,
So it's the creation of ignorance in order to see through ignorance to know itself. It's a kind of a cosmic joke in a way, because
Hmm.
you might say, well, why have this ignorance to start with? But then you could say, well, I need that ignorance, I need that duality in order to discover what I really am, which is prior to that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's the without that belief in the dream and taking it seriously and real, there's no game.
yeah, through seeing what you're not, you see what you are. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's it exactly, Michael. It's a kind of a game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's God playing peekaboo with himself. You know,
And
But
yeah,
like with a baby, you ever seen how excited a baby, you ever like if you do peekaboo on a baby, it goes nuts. Like the babies just they start laughing. They think it's the funniest thing. Like they see a face and then like for them the face is gone and then boom, it's back. And basically every expression is God.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's no object permanence yet. There's no abstraction of the imagination yet. So it is literally gone, and then it appears again. That is magic. That's amazing.
oh, this is a very civilized time for me. It's a beautiful 9 o'clock in the morning for me where I am. But I've been to a couple of Sanders meetings, and that's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it just kills me. So this is a very sensible time, a very civilized time for me.
Yeah. Where do you live?
I'm in Thailand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah. What about what about peace? Because I don't hear many people talking about peace. The only one I've heard mention the word peace in this kind of group is Tim Kliss. I heard him talk about peace several times, but I don't hear that spoken about very much. I mean, what's your view of that, Jenny, of peace?
I see it as when it's obvious there's no individual and there's no resistance to what is, and everything's just timelessly this. And it is peace, and it's still, and it's silent, and it's not moving, and it's obvious it's not real, and obvious it's not happening. And that is peace when it's not real. If it was real, we'd be doomed. If space and time was real, if consciousness wasn't fundamental, we would be doomed.
But you would say that consciousness is real, right?
Well, no, I would say that like Pada Brahman is the natural reality,
Mm-hmm.
prior to
Brahman
manifestation.
is real.
Yeah, just prior to this illusion is what I'm saying. Appearing as this illusion,
Mm.
appearing as consciousness.
Where did you get so the Brahman consciousness that you're referring to is, as you say that, is that just from like, well, maybe it's this way, or have you sort of had an experience of that, or how do you know what you just said? I agree with what you said, but I'm trying to figure out how you know that, because otherwise it sounds like, well, another story
Hmm.
of that it's Brahman.
Is this for Tony or Jenny?
That's for you, Ginny. And then Tony
well, I was
can
just going to
answer after
say,
that. But for,
I was
mainly
just
for
going to,
Ginny.
okay, yeah, you answer
Yeah, start
first,
first.
yes, because I have an answer, but
Yeah, so I know
Okay.
you do.
I think it's all, I think one word is all words. I think one fraction of a word is everything that could possibly be or not be. Everything is infinite. And everything is God. So every word is it, every sensation is it, every thought is it. And then I would say this is an unknowing. This isn't like this is just intuitively speaking. There was a direct experience where there was a glimpse and it was like a peekaboo, you're God. And it was like, there was no mind, there was no one there. And it was just so infinite that it was terrifying. And it was, all I can say is words, love, just like infinite, expansive. And I realized when the mind came back into measure what happened, that I am not the body. I am so beyond all of this. And this is just God's imagination. This is ephemeral. This isn't real. And consciousness is this way for God to play with itself, and this illusion of other and opposite and form when you're formless and you're so, but yeah, I would say consciousness is fundamental. It's it's how everything's appearing to happen. And consciousness, I call it God's imagination too, or God dreaming this, because it's like, or God's mind, because it's dreaming the bodies. The consciousness is not inside the brain or the body, or like local, just like how people can have out of body experiences where they can get out of the body and see the body. And then people have had near death experiences where the body died and flatlined, the heart stopped, the brain failed, and they were looking at the body. So time and space is not fundamental, and consciousness goes on, and it's infinite, and it's and what you are is eternal, can never die, was never born, and yeah, more infinite than can ever be imagined, because it's beyond imagination, it's beyond mind. Appearing as this cheap VR headset that can disassociate and have a unique experience, which is just stunning. It's so amazing. What were you going to say, Tony?
oh yeah, that's beautiful. I would just simply say that it is self-evident to me that I am. And I would say that that is the only thing that I know, that I am. I am that I am. Thou art that, whatever you want to put it. I would say that it is self-evident that I am, that I am the reality. I mean, Vedanta would say that you are the reality, but not in a personal sense, in an impersonal sense. So anything I seem to know, it's called an illusion, or it's called unreal, because it's impermanent, right? So anything that you see or perceive or think or feel, all of that is just coming and going all the time. So that is unreal. But here's the trick, here's the game, here's the trick. Everything is still this, even though we start off with the idea that what we see is some kind of an illusion. You know the Donovan song, right? First there are no mountains, then there are no mountains, then there is, right? You know that one, yeah. So you begin as an apparent spiritual seeker by discriminating between what seems to be unchanging awareness and then what seems to be changing phenomena. And then you treat them as though they're separate. But then the realization is to discover that they're not separate, that there is only the one indivisible reality. And that also includes what you said before were illusions. So all of it Because if you have one indivisible reality, then how could you divide off from that and say something else is not part of that reality, something is unreal? If that was the case, it wouldn't be one indivisible reality anymore, would it? So, you know, it's paradoxical, isn't it? It's paradoxical. But you start off with this idea. You see, Ginny was saying it when I referred to that in this really nice video of hers when she was talking about awareness being unchanging. But what is changing is also the same consciousness, isn't it? It's just that appearing as form. So it's, you know, it's kind of paradoxical.
When you're using awareness, the words, and just for my own edification, awareness and knowing, uh, I used to use that all the time, and I still no, I don't believe in it anymore like I did, because I always thought, yeah, there's an awareness that it's aware of something, but it's not a duality in awareness. Yet there is, because needs to be somebody that's aware of whatever it's aware of,
But
and also the knowing of that.
I mean, that's the very definition of non-duality. The very definition of it is the experience of non-dual awareness. Otherwise, it's just a concept or a belief.
Yeah.
So you know that you are aware, and you are, you know, if I show you an apple, you are aware of the apple. If I remove the apple, you're aware of the absence of the apple, but
Right.
the awareness remains.
Right. To me, I was going through all these the thoughts, emotions, feelings, whatever it was. They were known to me, so they were known to my awareness. That I was aware there was an awareness here, but see, there's no separate I that was aware of it. That's it seems to be the key. There's no separate knowing of
Mhm.
whatever's known. There's
Yeah,
Well,
just one thing.
yeah.
that's why radical.
I think you've just demonstrated the limitation of words,
Mhm.
because because awareness is not an object. Yet here I am objectifying it. I'm saying awareness as if it's a thing, but it's not a
Mhm.
thing. I don't know. Where do you go for that? You kind of just hit a brick wall in terms of using the dualistic language that we use, right?
That's why this can never be spoken. That's the
Yeah.
And
freedom.
it's all the words. So when I say pure awareness, it's the same as emptiness or boundless energy or whatever the other favorites are, you know, like the favorites.
Love.
Yeah, so there's like a list of descriptions, and each character with its probability distributions are likely to pick, you know, which term they like to use, and they're all the same fucking thing. They're all the one immutable energy. This is all one God, you know, one. So, and also like um without the observer, what is the observed? It doesn't exist without the observer. It is the
Yeah.
observer. So
Mhm.
pure awareness is whatever it's being aware of. It's simultaneously rendering whatever it's seeing on the fly. Even neuroscientists have proven this, that when you're looking at something, you're simultaneously rendering it. It's created on the fly.
Yes.
So it is the awareness. Everything seen is the awareness, which is the same as everything that's seen is the boundless energy.
Yes.
Everything that's seen is the empty fullness.
Jenny, I see it every day when I drive. You've talked about it, guys.
Mhm.
When you're driving, the road is just appears magically on
Yeah, it
the
wasn't there
freeway, and then
before.
it's disappearing as it's going like behind you, and
Yeah.
it's on the fly. So this is so beautiful because when you walk outside, this is gone. This doesn't need to be. It's
Hmm.
so I just wanted to just say this. It's sort of like the computer screen that you're looking at right now. These pixels can move in such a fashion that it can appear as movement. But what happens when you unplug it? there's nothing that actually ever moved. It's just colors, right? So this has the ability, in a way, this is like what we were saying, Jenny, like a
Mhm.
giant headset, you know?
Yeah, it's like a VR headset. And so I say that consciousness is the illusion so that God can experience what it's like to be. Because if you look at one of the biggest clues, deep sleep, when pure awareness is not aware of itself because it's all alone, but through this dream of consciousness of other, you know, through this mirror of duality, it can see itself and experience. And so it's all making love to itself through every sensation, every experience.
Well, Michael, what you said, that's so cool, actually. You're saying the road is just being created as you're driving along. Because there are some physicists who put this theory that we're living in a hologram, right? We're living in a hologram and we don't know it. But the interesting thing that comes out of that is they say that if we are living in a computer simulation, it would take, it's really funny, it would take too much computing power to have the whole of creation there already, that they just render it on the fly,
Yes.
as you were saying. So when you're on the road, the whole road doesn't exist. It's just being rendered as it appears to you, because
Mhm.
it saves on the computing power that you would need in
Yes,
the
it's no,
simulation.
it
Everything
makes
is, yeah.
complete sense because this is economical. It doesn't need to waste anything. I was using the example of a saloon in a movie. When they build a set like Main Street Dodge, you know, in a movie, it's not really a Main Street Dodge. It's a sign that says saloon, a couple of girls, and not even a real band. They'll have some music playing. Voila, you have your saloon. Everything is only needed for as is in the moment. When it's not
Yeah.
needed, it's just not there.
Yeah, your house disappears when you leave it. It
Oh yeah,
reappears.
yeah. When you see
Drive
the
up to
saloon,
it.
if you go around the back of the set, you just see this wood. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just painted
I
on the
was
But
just
front.
imagining that
exactly, Tony,
a play
exactly.
scene.
But it
Yeah.
works, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're on the right angle, it's like to see a magician do a magic trick, let's
Hmm.
say making the rabbit appear out of the hat. If you're too close, the trick doesn't work because you can see how he does it. If you're too far away, you don't care because you can't see what he's doing. So for a thought to fool you, it's like there's this sort of exact way to see it. And all of a sudden, when you're not interested in your thoughts anymore, like you were, your angle changes. The thoughts don't have that same stickiness that they used to. So that's what I'm saying. Like when thoughts feel like they're you, there's an interest in them. But what
Yeah,
happens?
so it's sleight of hand, isn't it? The magician uses sleight of hand. So what they do is they distract you. So you look in a particular direction, and
Exactly.
when you look in that direction, they're doing something with a card or whatever. But when you just see what apparently appears as this world, the same thing's going on because in terms of look, I'm looking out the window now, right? See all these trees, right? There are so many pixels there, but I'm not seeing all of those pixels. I don't have the processing power to see all of those pixels at the same time. So I'm just being selective about what appears to be there. But there's no way I can tell whether those pixels are really there and I'm not seeing them, or whether they're being generated for me when I need to see them. So.
Right. And it's right here because, like, if I ask you, right, do you have a body? Say, yeah, I have a body. But now, if I ask you, what it right now, if you tune in, without like going to the label body, what is actually here that's the body? And you start to notice it's just some sensations, some pressure, some tightness. There's no actual body here.
Yeah, you're not aware of your foot right now, but if I say, "Hey, Michael, are you aware of your foot?" Then you're going to put your attention there and you're going to feel a sensation. But
And then you render a
otherwise,
foot.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
then you
magic
render.
show.
Yeah, you render a foot. Yeah.
It's magic. It's like I mean, this is the imagination. It's beautiful.
I had an example of a reflection. You know how our minds will see something and believe that that's what it is. And I was at an eye doctor today, and there was a mirror on the wall, and within the mirror there was a computer, screen, a monitor with the 5 letters, 5 letters so that they enlarge them or they do that kind of a thing.
Mhm.
But when the nurse left, I was looking at that. And what I saw initially was there was just a small mirror, and here it is. There's this computer screen with this thing, and I believed that that's what it was. It was real. The computer was there. The computer was behind my head on the other side of me, and it was reflecting back there. And and so they're
Beautiful.
manipulating the thing. So it's not what we think it is. It's what
That's
unless
it.
we kind of examine our own lives and then say,
Well,
what's going on in here? Am
well,
I interpreting my life or is it real?
I just want to slow you down, Manny,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
no, because that's so beautiful. Because really, to me as a kid, that was my first thought as a child, was something feels off.
Yeah.
But I couldn't put my finger on it. Like you smell a rat.
Yeah. You can't find it.
But yeah, exactly.
And
But I
then you
couldn't.
do. And yeah. When you were talking about peace, what came to me is there's no me to interpret anything. It's just all beautiful. It's just the way it is, and it's all. It's almost like the first time you ever saw something, and there was no interpretation, there was no thought about it. It's like that wow aha moment. And there's a couple of hours later, I remember trying to figure out what happened. And it was just it's almost like a glimpse that you have of reality pretty much that's always present, except for my mind thinking about this and that and commenting and doing all these things. Even then, it's always present. So what I guess I'm saying is that this present moment has the ability to bring out the freshness and the taste of life as it is right now. And there's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it. And it can't be described. That's the thing. But you know what when it's happening, it's just uh, what else is there that's better? I've never found anything. There isn't, as far
Would
as
you
I know.
would you say that peace is desirable, but suffering is undesirable?
Well, suffering comes when I get involved. When I start commenting on whatever I don't want, I don't like this, this shouldn't be this way. And so I'm not accepting, but even the acceptance thing is for who?
So do
So
you feel like you
both
want to
things,
change it?
yeah, yeah. But if there's nobody involved, like I think Jenny was saying, the prior to or the, it's almost like prior to thought and my identification with a me, the self-centered ego, that doesn't really exist yet. I think it does, and I believe in it until I don't. And even that is
But if
just a
you're
thought.
suffering, yeah, but if you're
Yeah,
suffering,
yeah,
there is this desire to avoid it, right?
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
There's a
the
calling.
tradition. See, I mean, the traditional path is, well, if you take what Buddha said, for instance, I'm here to teach the nature of suffering and the end of suffering. That's
Yeah.
the traditional path. Um, so if there is this suffering, do you feel like you want to do something about it? Or is there just an acceptance of it?
I want to do something about it. Generally, there's
Well,
a
I would
sensing
say
that this
it's my
isn't right.
observation. It's my observation that most human beings really are doing two things. They're either doing something to increase their happiness, or they're doing something to avoid suffering. So there's that kind of tendency there, isn't there?
Hmm.
But you could say, you could take the view, well, if I'm suffering, then that's just, part of what is. So I'll accept it. But it seems like you have an apparent choice, doesn't it? It seems like you have a choice to say, well, look, I don't want to suffer, therefore, I'm going to do something to avoid it or to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Tony,
It doesn't matter if that's happening to you.
Tony,
Yeah.
what is asking that question?
Well, the apparent I is asking that question.
What apparent I?
The one that's being experienced or expressed.
Speaking.
Take a look.
I mean,
Is there anything there? Take a look now.
oh, the experience of that thought is definitely arising.
Right, but if don't go to conceptual. I mean, right now, can you find it?
Oh no, I cannot find a person, an entity who is a person. Oh, absolutely not. I cannot find such a person. You see, if you say that there is no person, I would agree with you absolutely. But for the seeker, there is an apparent individual who is seeking, right? So that can't be denied. It seems to be happening for that person, right?
Well, I don't know.
No matter what yeah. Well,
Well,
it seems to be happening for that person, right?
Seems to, but if you really look at it, there's nothing there.
I know, but that's all.
Yeah, but you're not looking at it. I'm talking about the person. I'm not talking about you. You see,
Right, but I'm not talking about a person. I'm just
Hmm.
I'm just talking about right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right now. Well, yes. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you don't exist, Michael. You're just an appearance in my awareness. So there's that. You see what I mean? From my experience, you're just an image on a computer screen, right? So what I could say is that there is only this happening, I don't know, here, everywhere, nowhere. See what I mean, Michael? I'm responding to you, but I'm responding to something that isn't essentially real because you're just an image appearing to me. You see what I mean?
Well, yeah, and vice versa.
Oh, well, yes, absolutely, vice versa. I'm not, when I say you don't exist, you're just an appearance. I'm not saying that in some way to kind of diminish you because I'm very aware that you can make exactly the same statement.
Right. Well, I'm just saying I noticed that there are a lot of, people they'll make statements like, well, I know there's nothing, but yet there seems to be a solid I there that knows that.
Well, if I make such a statement, then there's nothing I can do about it.
No, I'm not. I wasn't.
Because that's
I wasn't. No,
just
no.
what's happening.
I wasn't saying you were doing it. I'm just saying in general. I noticed that it's
Yeah.
sort of like it's not noticed. It's very kind of innocent,
Yeah.
thinking that I'm right. It's very subtle, but you can feel it. If you get sensitive and you tune in, you begin to get aware of positions, and as you said, Tony, you begin to prefer the peace over the position. You don't.
Yes.
You have no
yes.
interest in
That's
like
no,
taking a position because the peace is ever present. It's already the case. So there
absolutely.
really
Yeah.
it
That's what
doesn't
I'm in awe
depend.
of.
It doesn't depend on any position.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. What I'm in awe of is the peace. I'm not in awe of the fascination of watching a dewdrop sitting on a leaf. Although you could say that the peace actually permeates that experience. But yeah, the peace. But I'm talking about an observation of an apparent other who is on a spiritual path. I'm just talking about what is observed here of someone else who identifies as an ego that is on a spiritual path. That's all I'm talking about. And there is this experience of that, of seeing others do that. as there was the memory of myself appearing to do that in the past. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I look at this screen and see all these pixels, as you would say, and pictures, and also, but I don't know if I'm just seeing pixels and colors now, or if there are, quote, real people out there. Michael, Ginny, Tony, Manny. I don't know. I mean, you got to be kidding. I got no idea. And there's something freeing about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you are real. Maybe we are individuals. Maybe we are autonomous. I don't know.
You're making an assumption that you're just making an assumption that he's real. Or real. I mean, real. You're just making the assumption that this object has some kind of independent existence.
But it may be. You don't know, and I don't know. We don't know.
It's unknown.
Hey, what the hell?
Know.
Yeah, but what the hell does it matter?
I
mean, does it actually matter? You see, this is the question. Does it matter?
Does what matter?
Well, does it matter if Michael is a pixel or a real person?
Imaginary concept.
Is it does it matter? You see, I'm completely unconcerned about this. You see, I'm completely unconcerned about whether there is personality or not personality.
That's beautiful. Yeah,
it doesn't matter to me at all. There is only peace here.
Yeah,
because I'm not really concerned.
Yeah,
so, I don't go around with this kind of, am I a person? Am I a person?
Yeah,
no. Those thoughts never occur to me.
That's beautiful, but I am concerned about that, and so you're not concerned. I am concerned, and nobody knows.
Oh, it's just your ordinary.
And that's perfect.
Yeah. Don, that's just your.
Yeah.
That's just your ordinary everyday seeking energy. That's all right. Don't worry about it.
You guys, before we run out of time, I just want to bring up a topic that Jenny and I discussed earlier that is quite, I think, profound, in that you guys have heard the thing about when, first Enlightenment, mountains are mountains, and then after, during Enlightenment, mountains are no longer mountains. And then after Enlightenment, mountains are mountains again. So a lot of the radical non-duality people get kind of stuck, and I was there too. It's where you get stuck in the center of this, there's just nothing. So any statement is attacked, any position is attacked, because in their mind, there's just nothing. And so you can't say anything. You can't use God. You definitely can't say awareness or consciousness.
Yeah, so it becomes another duality. It's like there's rules and things are off limits, and then you can't say this, you can't say that. And when it's everything, it's literally saying everything. It's saying the word word. The word is everything. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter.
So Michael, you're not a radical. You're not a radical non-dualist.
Oh no.
I think I've met a few.
Well, Jenny, it's so funny because Jenny and I were just talking about this today. Would
you say Tony Parsons is a radical non-dualist?
Well, first, okay, I have a question. So this is why I was saying, here's what I don't get. Non-duality means not two, yes? Non-duality means not two.
Right.
It's very clear. Then what the fuck is radical non-duality? What is that? Oh, no, we're really serious that it's not two.
Yeah.
No, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's very clever that Advaita means not two, because they're not saying one. They're not saying it's one. They're saying it's not two. There's a difference, isn't there? There's a difference. It's not saying there are not many, and it's not saying there are not what. There's not one.
Yeah, because there's not even one.
Because the experience here is that there is both impersonal and personal living very happily together. There's no conflict. There's no separation. There's just this spontaneous unfolding. And whether that is the experience of the unmanifest or whether it is the experience of the manifest in terms of personality, it's of absolutely no concern to me whatsoever. But I suppose, Michael, the radical non-dualist would say stuff like, I don't exist, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So
what does that mean?
yeah. So just to finish my little story. So yeah. So and again, guilty as charged. Like I don't want to, because I've been there. I know what that's like. But then there's the third part of you come, mountains are mountains again, and rivers are rivers again, and that's the humanity. That's the when Jenny, which I'm going to shut up in a second, Jenny, because I want you to talk about the duality. Is it equally? And that's
Yeah, everything's it.
yeah. Go ahead, Jenny.
Oh, that's
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say that's so beautifully said, Michael. That's good because I had certain preconceptions about you, but you've just dissolved those preconceptions in what you just said. Now, that's really great.
Yay. You get an A+, Michael. Yeah, it's all inclusive. It includes everything. And there's no rules, so there's no right or wrong way to speak about this. You can use the word pure awareness or empty fullness or it's everything. It's just all one God in a chat room with itself, appearing to be, which isn't even really happening. So, and it's beautiful and unique too, because each character in the dream appears unique and has those unique qualities and probability distribution. So it can't help whether or not to say there's rules to this. It can't help whether or not to say, non-duality needs to be spoken about in this way only. It can only be this way. I mean, that's it too. And so that's true for that character because every truth is true. So it's all true, So it's
So what you said, Ginny, so I would call that radical non-duality, what you just said.
oh really?
Yeah, that's what I would call radical non-duality. That would
Oh,
be
that's
my
interesting,
definition of
Don.
that.
Please explain. That's
So
very interesting.
so totally inclusive.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
Okay.
totally, not just
Okay.
the
So
word, but like
yes.
you said, even the micro word or whatever, how you
Okay.
said that.
Oh,
It's not just
cool.
the
Okay.
Okay.
word, it's the micro word,
Yeah.
it's the micro sound, it's the micro tongue
Yeah.
movement. It's, oh
Okay.
my God. It's the, oh God. Okay.
Yay, that's awesome.
Yay.
Yay.
That was good, Don.
When I was looking at the non-duality groups, which were like flooding my Facebook, all I could see was gaslighting and debating
Yeah.
whether to speak a certain way. You can't say it this way. And then someone else would one up the other person and say, oh, no, you didn't. It's this way. It's the way I'm saying it is. And it was cracking me up because that's like a pretend duality happening in the non-duality groups. And if there is a non-duality group, it would be the entire imaginary universe. It wouldn't be this. It includes all infinite qualities, characteristics, and archetypes, and yes and no and maybe and everything. So it's like so it just seemed like there was some constraints happening, and so I removed labeling from my channels because I'm like I don't know what to call this. Like the way that's being spoken is just intuitive. There's no rules. I don't have labels. I don't know what it is. It's just it's love. That's why I call it a love story.
These debates always end up being about words and terminology. It's all about, semantics. And then people defend their way of saying something.
Which means they don't believe it.
Right.
Yeah. And I always just go back to, well, forget the words, just look at yourself. Just look at this. That's it. There's nothing that has to be said about it. Although we seem to enjoy talking about it, which is
But it's not in the words, it's in the energy. That's what if I feel the love, I really don't care what you say.
Yeah. When it feels open and it's all inclusive, it's like a warm hug. It's like, yay, this is a celebration. But when there's like a restriction and you get in trouble for saying certain words or like it reminds me of going to the principal's office in high school. I'm done with that shit. I'm done with that. Like this is free to explore and express in any fucking way. And I can use whatever word. It doesn't matter. It's all the same words. And so this is just one imagination arguing with itself, which is hilarious. It's like it's like a schizophrenic sitting there talking to itself in the room all alone.
And the inclusivity includes Trump derangement syndrome.
Ha
Throw that
Well,
in
you
there.
can't have one without the
As
other.
inclusive
So,
as anything. So
yeah,
that's the radical non-duality.
No,
totally includes
Don,
all archetypes. Yeah.
I love what you said. You did a complete reframe for me because I totally got what you meant when you said, well, to me, the way Jenny was when she was like on fire, just like ripping it off, and you're like, that's it. That's what's radical. And suddenly, like the light bulb went off. I go, oh, like super sharp. Like it's so red hot that it's radical in that sense. So yeah.
But the difference is also when Ginny says what sounds like radical non-dualism, I get the sense that there's a truth behind it. But then you get people on Facebook who use the same kinds of words and say the same kinds of things, but you think, is this just a belief system? So, I mean, who am I to say who really knows what is going on or not going on? But it's just that when Ginny says it, there seems to be an authenticity behind it. But I've heard other people use the same words, the same non-duality playbook. You know what I mean? The non-duality playbook. But they're just saying it because they've adopted it as a kind of a
Mhm.
belief system. Yeah.
Yeah, like a paradigm. It can be a paradigm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another reason non-duality, you don't hear me use that word hardly. I mean, I don't- because I realize it becomes just another concept, because think how many books there are. You could spend your whole existence reading. So for me, the books all went in boxes instantly, overnight, from loving my books. If there was a fire, like my non-duality books would be the first thing to grab, and to
Hmm.
the next waking up one day going, oh, wow, shit, who knew? I'm boxing up all my books.
Yeah. Burn the books, burn the books.
Yeah, but I mean, it was so dramatic. It wasn't like I
Hmm.
weaned off them. It was literally a sitting up in bed and knowing that they were all going in a box because what I was interested in is already here. It's
Hmm.
not, I don't need to read a book to go find it if it's here already.
But I guess, Michael, the books can be helpful in getting you to a certain point where you can just say, I'm fucking bored with all these concepts anymore.
Yeah,
So that in
beautiful.
itself could be useful.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's the
Hmm.
freedom. And that was my post today. It's like all practices are this because there's
Yeah.
only this, there's only the freedom. So everything's
Yeah.
already free. It's so free, it's free to
Hmm.
practice.
Yeah. There's no goals because everything's the goal. There's no practice because everything's a practice and all practices are it. So it's like it doesn't matter if if someone teaches this or someone gives you a practice or someone practices or it's all the same. God making love to itself. It's beautiful. All of it.
I love that image of God making love to itself. That's that's a great meditation. That's good.
Any last comments or questions before we close out this evening?
Yeah, I'm going to go
Beautiful,
read. I'm
beautiful,
going to read in a
beautiful.
minute. I'm interested in what's happening in America today.
Oh my God. Well, it's funny because so my sister had one reason. This is kind of give you a little whatever, some entertainment here. No, it was fascinating to me that she wanted Trump, and why I asked her, it made complete sense to me because she's a dealer. She's a blackjack dealer in San Diego. And she said he promised to not tax tips.
Oh yeah.
So that's it. That spoke to her. That took care of a need she was interested in. And so boom. So there you go.
Beautiful. And that's it too.
It is,
And
yeah.
that's beautiful. I mean, that is as beautiful as God making love to itself. There's no separation.
Well, here's the mind blow. The mind blow is Trump and Camilla are both this.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's deep. That's
That's
deep.
right.
That's good.
And so is the peace and the suffering.
Yeah.
It and
So is
to
the pain.
yeah,
Yeah.
to apparently no one, not even the ones that were running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Whoa.
And it doesn't diminish it. You would think that, you know, see, this is another thing. And some of you may have had this experience. I've become more emotional. I cry more now than ever. I'm
Yeah.
much more in touch with my emotions. I'm much more willing to be there quietly and hold someone's hands as they're in distress.
Beautiful.
it's like allowing them, isn't it? You're just allowing.
Well, you can only have
It's
space.
happening,
You can only have space for others when you're not filled up.
right? That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
You're
just
quite a
being.
man, Michael. You're a beautiful man. Whether you're real or not, I don't know. You may be a pixel, but
You'll
if
never
you,
know.
yeah, but if you are real, you are beautiful. Okay.
Well, you are too, brother. All you are. Thank you guys, each and every
Thank
one of you.
you.
Dawn,
Mwah.
Tony,
Yeah.
Mwah.
Manny, my sister, mwah, Jenny,
Yay. Thank
girlfriend,
you. So
Anon.
Thanks,
wonderful.
Michael.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
See
great
you,
evening.
Great
Tony.
meeting.
Dawn.
Yeah, see you. Great
Jenny.
meeting. Great meeting. Really.
Thank
Great to speak to you, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you, Ginny. Take
Yeah.
care
Take
now.
care.
Bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.